going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack and Productions. Today, I've been being joined once again by Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
And today, we're going over his Gencon deck. But before all that, keep in mind there's buttons down below. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. Jimmy, let's get into this. Mechikabura.
Right. So, I took the gamble on Mechi. I was very comfortable with the list going into Gencon. And something that I learned is that you can't take a deck that you just expect people not to know. Because I was taking the gamble that they just did not know the matchup well, and in that case, it's just an easy win. It's an easy ride into Top Cut. But everybody knew the matchup. Everybody knew it really well. They knew how to play against it. Every match was a greaser. It was always come down to either like 5K or them having a Hail Mary play or me having a Hail Mary play. So I still think the deck is very strong. It didn't perform the way I expected it to, but I had a lot of fun there and I learned a lot from my matchups and met a lot of really cool people. So let's get right into it. So Mechikabura, Wish Leader, on attack you search out your 2 Dragon Balls. Wish is untap 1, draw 1, send a card from your opponent's drop area to their warp. And then on the backside, auto draw 1, activate main, snatch a 4-drop, switch to active mode, negate its skills, which is huge. And then the other is you just give him triple attack and remove the 7 balls, and basically you draw 3 because the auto is not once per turn. But going into our ball spread, run 4 of the Dark Empire balls. This is your main draw engine. Draw 2, warp 1 from your opponent's drop area, and then 3 of the Yearning balls just to round it out. So this come up a lot more than I expected it to because there was a lot of really powerful 1-drops at Gencon. So most of the time, I'm just pitching Yearnings for Dark Empire balls. But at Gencon, I was constantly activating main and making them warp their 1-drops off the field. So like the starter Vegeta, they play the 1-drop Gohan draw engine with the skill assist, warp that Gohan. BMS I saw a couple times. Boo matchups with the 1-drop Boo that Union absorbs. So this was huge at the entire event. Moving on to probably one of the best cards in the deck, Demon God Toa, Ritual at Hand. If you have 2 Dragon Balls in the drop area, you can pay 1, play her, and then you can put 2 balls in the drop area to help you awaken. But most of the time, you want to just be able to search your balls off of your leader, or just draw into them naturally, so you get the effects of the balls. On play, she warps a card, no specification. As long as it doesn't have barrier, it's getting warped. And then your opponent warps 1 card from the hand and draws 1, which sounds bad, but it's actually huge. Because you can get a lot of information off the card that they send. If they send, one of their key battle cards for their deck, you know that they have multiple in hand, that you don't have to worry about them drawing into it because they already have it. If they warp just, something like a BMS, you know that they're not planning on playing that, so you don't have to worry about keeping Yearnings in the hand. So huge, get a lot of really good knowledge off that, and she's a blocker to boot, which is just fantastic. Moving on to the second best card in the deck, we have Salsa, Ritual at Hand. So it has the same auto, warp 1, draw 1. Then the activate main is same as Toa, but on attack, he draws 1 card and then warps a battle card from your opponent's drop area, so huge. Do know that once you attack with him, you lose the access to the rest of the autos, and that is just in general across all copies of the card, so it's basically just a limit 1. And then finally, I only run 3 Shrooms because most of the best cards in the format are more than 3 energy, outside of stuff, like Bupo, some of the 1-drops. There's not very many 2-drops in the game. Like Zamasu the Eliminator, you can't hit with him because it has Indestructible. So the warping of the 3-drop is not all that great, but just being able to drop a 1-drop 15k is huge. And it gives you another Demon God to drop for Dark Empire Ball.
I was about to say, because you didn't have a 4th holo.
Yeah, well, I had a 4th holo, I just didn't have a 4th stamp, so that's why it's not.
Ah, fair enough. Are all the Doritos really stamped?
Yeah, almost the entire deck stamped.
We had 2 of them from us.
Yeah. So moving on to the Negate package, Petrification. This card is just broken now. So Mechikabura's worst matchups are are decks that have like alternate win cons, such as like hand control, being able to warp out the hand or drop out the hand. Stuff like Android 18 mil, you don't have a lot of options for it, but Petrification just fixes all of those issues. So opponent attacks, negate the attack, and then you make it so they can't activate skills, so that kills pending autos, stuff like the 5-drop Frieza that freeze at 100% overdrive, or is it just freeze at 100%?
It's
100% overdrive. At 100% is the Yamcha. So it will stop the neg on the field, which is huge. So you get to keep all of the cards, and they basically just lose a turn. So this was fantastic. It comes up against stuff like SS4 thwarting, because they don't get the warp 2 and then blow up 2 on your field and the restands. So the card's just been absolutely amazing. The worst in the gate in our deck, Power Burst. The only reason I kept it in is for the sparking, because that is hugely relevant with the amount of, decks that like to combo up on a double striker or a triple striker, just being able to, spark out a life. And then there's not a lot of 1-drops you want to pull back to your hand. I only run one drop in the entire deck. 3 of a particular 1-drop. And most of the time you want that in your drop area, so its actual pickup effect is not all that relevant, but the sparking is, and that's the only reason it's still in the deck. Run 3 of the Kais, just one of the best negates in the game right now. 1 cost, negate the attack, warp a battle card until the end of the turn. Gets rid of so many good threats. Stuff like SS4 thwarting. It cannot be KO'd, but it says nothing about warping, so you just warp that asshole out of the field, and then you don't have to worry about it. A lot of Gogeta Xeno likes to swing with their Demigris first to get the card drop, and then you're able to hit like one of their SS3 thwartings or like one of their like 1-drops that is like giving you some trouble. So this card's huge. It's fantastic. 2 Oceanus, this come up a few times, and every single time that I think about cutting this card, it wins me a game, and I go, I can't cut it. It's middle of the road. It's sometimes better than a Poutine Topo, and sometimes it absolutely loses you the game, especially in matchups where they run Overwhelms. If you slam this on the board early, they're just going to like swing out, then be able to drop their Overwhelm and kill you. So, don't know about it. This was usually the first card to get sided out. Speaking of Poutine Topo, I don't need to explain why this card is good. You warp 2 cards you have to warp 2 cards if you want to attack. Really, really good card. Moving on to the Super Combo spread. Run 2 of the Vegeta and 2 of the Toa. So I originally went to running 4 of the Vegeta just because of the quality Super Combo, and also because I wanted to run SS3 thwarting or SS4 thwarting in the deck. I just found that going to 4 life in Mechi just feels really bad, since the majority of the time you can set at 7 to 8 life the entire game. And I really like the Toa Super Combo because it's just a sparking 5. You don't have to have a life total. So it was huge in matchups where you could keep a high life total and set on that cushion and protect, where this card is just dead in your hand until you're at 4 life, which either happens way too quickly or you don't even see it. And also, if you're in a desperate spot, you can be able to target the Toa with your Dark Empire Ball to drop it and draw 2, which happens more often than you would think. Run 2 Broken Seal. I still think this is one of the best cards in the game. If you know your matchup, this could just turn it off for a turn, and then also you get to search out a Dark Dragon Ball if you still have them in the deck by the time you're playing this card. But this card's just fantastic. I think if you know your matchups well, if you know the meta well, run 2 of these, or run at least 1 in every deck. It's a fantastic card. 2 Ginyu the Body Snatcher. So this card was basically all weekend, or all day at Gen Con, was just, if they have a Boo Unison, I'm gonna swing at it with this. So if you can put a card that you stole into your opponent's drop area, play this guy, 20k double striker, great pressure, great unison clearance, put in a lot of work. I did cut him down to 2 from 3 because I was getting them flooded in my hand and I don't ever want to charge them. So I was having to charge, like, you know, either go no charge or charge cards that would help me win the game where this was just blooding. But still, fantastic card in the list. And you get to play it for free off of a skill that you get to use by just bottom decking a card. Run 3 Catastrophic Prems. So this is my other target for fusion into SS4 thwarting. And also I can force my opponent to proc this auto by using the Toa and the Salsa skills. So when your opponent draws a card from their deck using a non-leader card skill, he will gain 10,000 and he has inherent double strike. So this is just huge. You can get this guy up to like 35,000. And it's a something your opponent just has to be wary of. Those matchups where I slammed this down and the opponent just spent so many resources on removing this instead of killing me, and you know, that ended up costing them. Another thing that's great about this is a lot of unisons, like for Helku, like the Android 18, is a 4K base. So you can just drop this, swing 5k double strike into it, and your opponent's ripping 2 markers or negating, which is fantastic for 1 energy. 2 Kingdom Lost, 2 energy, double striker, rip a card or warp a card off their field. So while he's in rest mode, your opponent has to warp a card if they want to attack your leader card. This pretty much just becomes a lightning rod. You put this in rest mode and your opponent just spend so many resources on removing him instead of just warping the 1 card out of their hand on swing. There was a couple matchups where my opponent learned really quickly that this card is just a complete red herring and is not worth spending so many resources on dealing with. And then they just turned around and just blew me out because I was expecting them to swing it to him and not me. So
the auto is once per turn.
The auto is once per turn. Remember that. There's been so many times where my opponent will swing at my leader, warp their card, swing with another battle card, and then warp additional card, and I'm like, hey bro, like, I don't want to tell you, but I feel bad if I don't. So remember, this guy is once per turn, so it's only 1 card you're losing, which is fine. So I went up to 2 of these big mechis, field wipe, 4 energy, double striker, and you get to gain control of 2 of your opponent's battle cards. The thing that sucks about this is that you can only play black battle cards for the turn, so you can't Ginyu off of the cards that you ripped with him, which I guess would be kind of broken if you can just, you know, spam out that many attacks for the energy cost that you invest in them. But this card, almost every game that I played it in, nearly won me the game. I lost a lot of my games by 5k combo, which sucks, but is what it is. You know, usually I would just swing with him at their 2 life and then combo the 2 cards that I stole from them, put them at 40 and then combo out my entire hand, and then every time they would just win by 5k. So it happens, but this card is fantastic. I don't know if it needs to be a 2 of because I saw both copies in every single game I played. Going into our myriad of 1-ofs, 1 Super Kamehameha just to deal with Bupo, Topos, the other various Opos, whatever you want to call them. Fritos. 1 SS4 thwarting. This guy went to a 3 of in my deck when he come out, and then went back down to a 1 of because I found that in the blue match, he never comes out. There's no protection in the blue match unless you deal with their unison. And by that time, I've seen people just leave 5 energy open to hard cast their Trunks counter. So he went down to a 1 of. In the matches that he's good in, he's fantastic. In the matches that he's bad in, it's just horrible, and he's just dead the entire game. But being a triple attacker, blocker, warp cards out of hand on swing, and battle cards off the field, ignoring barrier, which is the only barrier removal in the deck, and all for 4 energy is absolutely insanely good value. For our Overwhelms, run 1 Brainwash No More, and then I run 1 SS4 Bardock Fighting. Fighting, you don't need to explain why this card's good. So the reason I don't just run 2 Fightings is because most of the time I was getting both of these in hand. And if you have 2 fightings, you're never going to play 2 in a game. So either one would just be comboed off or put into the energy. So I wanted to have a Overwhelm that has an alternate use, and that's why I run Brainwash No More for the Activate battle, to be able to get out of a big double strike attack or a big triple strike or even quad strike in like the Cell X matchup. So this just gives me another option for Overwhelm, as also being able to use it as just a protection card, so that I can drop Bardock and swing for game with it. 1 Dark Mask King, card's fantastic, triple striker, deals the damage if your opponent counters. Dual attack if your opponent has 10 or more cards in their warp, all for 4 energy, again, is just fantastic. And also, being deflect is huge. 1 Darkness Perfected, this come up in almost every matchup. Just block down a card, it can't attack, gets around deflect because of the auto. So this guy was fantastic, and he's also a demon god that you can, or a demon realm race that you can drop off the ball if you really need it. 1 Champa, because every deck I play runs a Champa, and 1 Heroines because...
Hang on, that's an illegal Champa too. You got a legal one out there? It's not French.
No, that's the secret rare version.
Oh yeah, that's the secret rare version. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, it come in like the gold Yu-Gi-Oh booster. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then we play creature swap. So this is just the best secret rare for the deck.
Is that change of cards?
Yeah, that's change of heart.
Oh yeah.
Well, mind control. Probably.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I take their card, I give it back with Ginyu,
Oh yeah.
So that would be creature swap. This card's fantastic. It's the best secret rare for the deck.
Sorry, sir.
Man, we not going into the sideboard, bro? What the hell?
You got the sideboard on you?
Yeah, of course I got the sideboard on me. I got that thing on me. Okay, so into sideboard. Run 2 Villainous Counterstrike. This was the MVP in my sideboard. So if your opponent has a skillless battle card in play, you can just choose battle cards that add up to an energy cost of 4 or less and warp them. So this was huge in almost every matchup I played. So round 1 was against Green Boo, and they play the token spam, and their tokens are skillless, so I just dropped this and just blow out their tokens. In matchups where they run the Frieza army reinforcements, the negates that play the blocker, after the blocker falls off, it's just a skillless token, and you can just keep using that as a engine to blow up your opponent's field. Fantastic against stuff like a Boonie, fantastic against stuff like the new 4-drop Goku Black that spawns the tokens, which of course you have to wait an extra turn after that for them to lose blocker.
And the blue and yellow one of those negates you're talking about don't have combo, so you can't combo them all. That's not bad.
Yeah, so this was fantastic for those matchups. 1 Toa just to recycle balls if I really needed it. Didn't come in. 2 Clash of the Masked Warriors. So this was fantastic against pretty much any deck that runs a Unison, because all of the best Unisons in the game right now have a strike skill. So like for Cell Surge, the 3-drop Broly has double strike. Majin Buu has double strike. King Cold, the King Vegeta can gain triple strike. Starter Vegeta gives their Unison double strike. So your opponent either has the option of removing a marker from it, or you don't take damage from the strike skill. So sometimes your opponent will drop a King Cold, swing at your 3 life, or drop the King Vegeta and King Cold, swing at 3 life, combo out their hand, and then you drop this, and you either don't take the damage, or they remove the marker, and when you remove a marker from a Unison, all of its power and skills are reverted. So it will lose the triple strike and the boost that they got from all their fields. So essentially, this kind of plays like a, what's the name of the card? Final Flash.
Yeah.
Vegeta's Final Flash.
Even in the King Cold match, if they hard cast their Unison for 4, swing -3, you do that, they either lose their Unison or you don't take the damage. It's a win-win.
Yeah, so this card is just fantastic. 2 Kabora Ritual at hand for hand control matchups. I didn't see any. I ran 3 Bardock for the Hatchiyak matchup. Again, did not see Hatchiyak. I also would put this in against blue decks that run the entered 17 turning the tide, because if you drop this when they're going to 7 energy and -2 on the turn before, if they drop their 17 and warp both of your hands, they just can't attack because they have to warp 1 card from hand. Which most of the time they're smart. Most of the time they're going to be smart enough not to drop it, but it'll save you a turn from getting 17'd. Again, for 17, I just run 1 Jiren, just because I already ran the Bardox, and I'd rather just be able to put them off of running or dropping 17 than worry about them having a counter for this guy. 1 more Petrification, just because it's a fantastic card. Tuikui Sakai, don't need to explain why this card's broke as hell. And then 1 Fushaded for the matches that went long enough to be able to play him, which he did not come in at all because all of my matches were done by turn 4 to 5. But so, had a lot of fun. Did not perform the way that I really wanted it to, but that's what happens when you take the gamble. Bancroft took the correct play and took something a little bit off meta, but still, meta adjacent. Where I just tried to go brute force into it with a deck that couldn't hang with big dogs.
Likewise.
It happens. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Keep in mind, there's stuff down below. Click on. There's stuff on the screen. Reading plays, misplaying cards. I don't know, something, right?